Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tatiana Arrington. I'm an entertainment journalist, TV host, and Sex and the City enthusiast. And today I want to talk about And Just Like That. Now, I'm sure you've heard And Just Like That was officially canceled. Let the church say amen. But I understand that this was also like one of our favorite shows to hate watch. I was also somebody who hate watched the show just because I have very strong ties and nostalgia to this show. But I do want to say, out of all of the characters, I think that this show failed Miranda the most. If you were watching the original series, you would know that Miranda that we saw on Sex and the City is nothing like the Miranda on And Just Like That. And it's a really tough pill to swallow. And I hope that a lesson was learned in this whole thing, because the way that they did Miranda so dirty on this show. When we first met Miranda in Sex and the City, she was this firecracker, right? She was very tech savvy. She was a lawyer baddie, very much about her business, no nonsense. And I feel like a lot of people today like Miranda, but when the show was first airing, you kind of, if Miranda was your favorite, you kind of had to like give a reason why. You kind of had to explain and go a little bit in depth on like, no, like let me tell you why Miranda is that girl. Like she always had on the freshest pantsuit, and she was the cynic who turned into like a lover girl when she met Steve. And Miranda had all these like qualities that I think that women today admire. And like today, people grow up from Miranda. Miranda has her own fan club now. But just seeing that juxtaposition with what we see on And Just Like That is horrible. The first thing I think that went wrong is blurring the lines between the character and who Cynthia Nixon is as an individual today. I want to start out by saying, because I don't want this to get twisted, I am an ally to the LGBTQ community. I support gay rights. I support gay people. But I do not think that Miranda should have been made into a gay character. It just does not make sense for the storyline. And I think if you were to ask like 99% of people, we would all agree that if you know Miranda and you know who she is, this literally just makes no sense. And I think if we even take it back to that episode of Sex and the City when Miranda got accused of being gay, she tried it. She actually tried it out, and she was like, I wish, but this is just not for me. So to have her have this awakening all these years later just kind of doesn't make sense. They also turned Miranda into a loser. I feel like Miranda was cool in her own way on Sex and the City. She always like had the new tech gadget. She was very much always hip to what was happening and to what was going on. I would argue Samantha was that type as well. But in this reboot, not Samantha, not Charlotte. Oh my God, I'm getting tongue tied. Miranda is just a loser. She's a lame-o. She has no house. She has no husband. She has nothing, essentially. And she gave it all up for this relationship, which we don't like to talk about in the franchise. But I think that is the one good thing about And Just Like That, is that they listened to us when we told them, hey, we need Che off this show right now. They are not serving any purpose on this show. Please dead this relationship. Please just kick them off the show. We can't stand it. It's just a really unfortunate situation, because I think when this did first get announced, we all had so much hope and so much expectations of what could have been, especially since Michael Patrick King worked on the original series, and that was fantastic, and it's still being talked about today. So why was And Just Like That such a fail? And I can go into a multitude of reasons, just the way that they didn't even honor the characters, but they definitely, without a doubt, did not honor Miranda and who she was in that original series, for sure. I remember one of the first couple of episodes on And Just Like That, I think Miranda was like going back to school, and she was in one of her classes with this Black woman who they actually wrote off the show. I really liked her character. Don't know what happened to her. And Miranda was like, "Oh, is it okay if I say woke? Am I being woke? Can I?" And I was like, Miranda would never say this. She would never say this. Like, this is so ridiculous. Miranda was always hip to what was going on, in the know. She would be the one telling the other girls, like, you can't say that. Like, what are we talking about? Like, did we not remember the caste system episode where, Charlotte's like, we're in a different cast. And Miranda's like, girl, pipe down, please. So I think that's like another thing. They just lost the ethos of who Miranda was on the show. And I think too, like, the whole storyline with Steve just went bad for me. I don't even acknowledge, what happened in the first Sex and the City movie where he cheated on her, because that is just like, Steve, okay, like, yeah. But if we're gonna take it there, fine. Steve cheated on Miranda, but then all these years later, for them to do what they did to that relationship, where so many people held that relationship in high regard, even though a lot of us are looking back now and being like, oh, like, Steve was maybe actually kind of a bum. Maybe him and Miranda should have never gotten together. But I think to just disregard the relationship that they did have just didn't serve And Just Like That at all, and didn't, help the storyline whatsoever. And I think it's what I've seen with this new series. It's just kind of like what I've mentioned, the lines between who these people are in real life and their characters got really, really blurred. And I don't think that they should have did that. And I know we're focusing on Miranda, but just some of the other things that I think could have been better with the show is the way that they honored characters and stories. Aiden should have never came back. He should have never came back. They should have let that be dead and buried after the Sex and the City 2 movie. I understand that the character of Stanford did pass away, and they had to think of something, but they did not honor Stanford's legacy on that show on the way that he left the show. I think that was done dirty, if I'm being honest. Like, they could have come up with something better, even to honor the character of Samantha. I don't think they did that justice. Samantha would have never, had a fight with Carrie about how much it costs to be her publicist and say, hey, I'm never speaking to you again. And I get, like, there's real bad blood and, in real life between these two. But if we're thinking about the fans, if we're thinking about how we're going to honor the legacy of these characters, they could have did something better for Samantha. They just could have. I think the only person on this show that maybe had some sort of transformation, and I really looked forward to their story, was kind of Charlotte. Honestly, I think Charlotte had a great transformation where her child was like, hey, I don't want to be called Rose anymore. I want to go by Rock. And Charlotte had to deal with that whole transition of having a child that is trans. And, that really had to set her out of her element. And then honestly, like, they were just making me start to hate every single man on that show. And I was like, this is not what it's about. Like, these women are in their 50s. They're like, come on, man. So yeah. These were just some of the gripes that I had about And Just Like That. I could go into so many more, but I know a lot of people were, even though we hate watched the show, we were sad that it was being canceled. But I'm honestly not sad. I'm like, this needed to end. It wasn't good. It didn't honor the legacy of the story, and I hated what they did to Miranda. I absolutely hated it. Like, Miranda girls, where y'all at? um, so I'm going to leave it here, but I would love to know your thoughts as well. Do you think I've got it all wrong? Did you like some of the aspects of Miranda's new life? And then just like that, tell me all the things. We can talk about it in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.